Okay. So with Sylvia, we have decided to just hit the record button, and whatever comes up is going to be the topic. We don't know what the topic is going to be. So Sylvia, what do you think?
Well, first, I'd like to say welcome for those of you who are joining us today for our second of this amazing place to come and play. And both Theodora and I have been working together, and every single time we come together, we play and we have so much fun. And we came up with this brilliant idea to come and share this podcast with people around the world. So if you're here, it's because you are just ready to have fun and ready to play. And if we came and we had a mission and a purpose for every single podcast we do, then it wouldn't be the energy that Theodora and I created when we came together. So
yeah, that's true.
It's delightful to be here with Theodora, and it's a delightful experience to just trust that we are exactly where we need to be, and what needs to come up today will come up.
Exactly. And it's going to be free flowing.
Absolutely. As always. So to start, maybe we can do a little check-in with Theodora and asking her how she's doing, and is there things showing up? Maybe that's where we go. Who knows?
Even when the things you want to show up do not show up, then even this is a good sign. This is what I say. This is what I think. What do you think, Sylvia?
Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great place to live from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. Just like you said, even when it's not the way we wanted it to be, we might also just let it go because hello, it's here.
Yeah, just go with the flow. And what happened is what should have happened, and what didn't happen is what shouldn't have happened. So just trust. Trust the universe, trust yourself, trust your inner child.
Trust life.
Everything. Yeah, trust life. But everything that comes to you is for you.
And I would even go a little deeper and say, everything that comes to you comes from you.
Right?
Yeah,
and there is a reason.
Yeah. And both Theodora and I get the privilege and the honor of working with people around the world and uncovering pieces inside that are out of balance. It's that simple. It's like playing a piano and then one key is out of tune. It can really change the whole melody, right? So every time we come together and we share, at the end of the conversation, it feels like the piano is tuned in. It's like perfect harmony, and I'm good to go. And it's a beautiful place to surrender. And it just keeps getting better.
Yeah. Because we trust.
Yeah.
So we want to move forward, because trust was a topic of the previous podcast.
Yep.
How could we build on that?
Okay. So I did write a post today. It's funny that you asked that question, and it was to Dear Precious Soul. And the best thing for me to do is to read it. This past year, I worked with a lot of clients dealing with labels. And for everybody that works with me, Theodora, you know this, I don't believe in labels because I was given so many as a young girl. ADHD, ADD, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, whatever it's called, it's a trauma. It's a trauma that tells a story. And for some people, it's a trauma that tells a story and it keeps your soul stuck. So if you're here and you've been, and you know what I tell you about the word trying, it has a lot of triggers and anchors into not so great stuff. If you want to be able to get to that place where you trust in life, some really easy things that you can do is just be kind and loving and patient with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Teach yourself and everyone you meet that kindness is really something we need to do first within, and then of course with everyone.
If we do
The
it
second,
within,
what's that?
if we do it within, there's
Yes.
no way we do not do it with others.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do we reverse it if we have negative thoughts? How can we reverse that?
Change the thought,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I do this technique with clients, and it's called the coin toss, and it's such an easy gift. You know, you just take a thought and it's like heads or tails, which one is it going to be? So you're given this gracious gift called life, a soul. And if you look at your life from a soul perspective and you have a negative feeling, it's because you have negative thoughts. So just go to a different thought. Think of something, a time, something you were doing and you were having so much fun, and
And what
change it.
happens when somebody hasn't even realized that this is a negative thought?
Oh, and that is something. It's that awareness. And you know, Theodora, myself included, there was times in my life where I'd go for a walk in nature, and I walked, and like 20 minutes into my walk, I was like, what the heck was I thinking about for the last 20 minutes? And then all of a sudden I stop and I feel really like, you know, not in that good feeling. So the very first thing I do is start to become aware of my thinking,
Mm-hmm.
start to become aware of those thoughts. And that's how you can change those thoughts. That's how you can use things like the coin toss or changing a thought. You can't change it if you're not recognizing it. And how do you recognize it?
Yeah, once you become present.
When you feel. If you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling good, it means you've been thinking good things. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to deliberately think of
Yeah.
something that brings you love or makes you smile. Can you imagine how powerful our world would look if this is something that we taught in schools to children? We'd stop in the day and we'd say like, you know, I don't know about you. Did you ever play the game red light, green light when you were a little girl?
Which one is that?
So in the US, I'm not sure if this is a game that you guys have in Greece, but in my neighborhood, there was a group of kids. It was always my brother and the tough guys on one side. And then what other kids were tiny and small on the other side. And we'd say red light, green light. So one person would say red light and everybody would stop. And then that person, like I'd have my back to everybody and then all these kids were behind me and I'd say green light and they would run, 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 run.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say red light and then they would stop. And then whoever got to touch me first, they got to be the leader and I went back into the group and then we continued to do that. So that analogy of red light, green light is such a fun way to play. I mean, red light, stop. I'm not feeling good right now.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck am I thinking about?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
And
we have this freeze game in my classes. My students,
okay.
whenever they feel that something, their energy is running low, they just say freeze, and we have to do some brain breaks. So I have to pick a brain break, do the brain break, and then just continue. But everybody has the honor and is allowed to say freeze whenever they feel like saying it.
So anytime throughout the day, they can say freeze.
Freeze, and I have to freeze the class, stop the class, pick a brain break, do it instantly. It might take 10 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 minute, and we keep going.
Brilliant
Yeah.
teacher. Yeah, that's great. What a gift you're giving. And the purpose of you doing that, Theodora, in your classroom is?
The purpose?
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm teaching them?
Yeah.
I'm teaching them English. This is the label.
Right. You're teaching them English.
Yeah.
That freeze game is also teaching them what though? Why are you giving the class an opportunity to say freeze?
Maybe to give them a dopamine push.
Okay. And what does dopamine do for your brain?
Okay, it pumps you up your dopamine it activates your dopamine levels in your brain, and
Right.
which is an excellent focusing chemical in your brain, and a happy chemical, but also a focusing chemical. And once there is um, an increase in dopamine in your brain, then you can stay focused for at least 15 seconds. No, the most maybe. And then afterwards you need another brain break.
You're also teaching them
Mm-hmm.
how to do something that gives them so much joy and it feels good
Mm-hmm.
with so much ease.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I
Yeah.
know I would have liked to have been in your class, because if I would have said freeze in my class when I was like, I spent half of my teen years in the office trying to figure out how I could get my strap that the teacher would give me, slice my hand open so I could go home for the day. That's a true story,
Wow.
because school and sitting at a desk didn't work for me.
No, it doesn't work
So,
for a
yeah.
large percentage of students.
So to be able
Yeah.
to give your kids that opportunity, like kiss your brain,
Kiss your
Theodora.
brain. Exactly. That's a
I
new
keep,
trick.
I do that with my little kids when I work with them. I say, kiss your brain, give yourself a high five, and give yourself a big hug. And you're doing that with your kids. And, it's something that you can do in your own home. Like, Dad, freeze.
Yeah.
Enough. Freeze, or with your siblings. What a great technique.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that's why I love not having a script or not having a topic at all.
There you go. And then the dopamine, one of the fun things to do, I don't know if you've ever been to the circus and they have that thing where you slam your hammer and it brings the light all the way to the top. Have you ever done that when you were a kid? Well, that's a very great visual, because I know for me, I love visuals. So can you imagine kids feeling that power, that rush of dopamine, because they went to that feeling place? Like, can you see the gift the world is giving to these young people? I mean, beautiful. And it's really freeze. The less we say, the more they feel, the better it is. And that's what, parents come to me every session and they want to know, my kid can't focus, my kids, hitting one another, yelling names at one another, their anxieties because of this pandemic. It's not because of the pandemic.
No.
We need to learn, and trust me, I still work on this one. It's such an easy thing to say. To live, you've got to be mindful. And that is say nothing, do nothing. Just create a space for your children and listen. Like stand on the rooftop. Parents, don't say anything. Listen. Listen. And listen. Like total, like not listen like I was taught to listen. You were saying something and I was listening so I could respond because I knew better and I couldn't wait to tell you better, right? Or to respond to what you said. But to listen to your kids and then say nothing. It's like, I remember the first time I tried it, I was like, it's that easy?
Yeah. But it's so easy and so difficult at the same time. How to convince somebody that they don't need to respond, they don't need to say the last word, even if you are the parent, even if you are the adult, you don't need to say the last word.
Yeah. I love that.
All right.
I love that.
So, is there anything else we would like to share for today?
Let me see. Is there anything else that we could do to tie all this together?
like demonstrate something, show something? What do you mean?
Oh, well, let's just tell them about last week, how we ended our session.
How?
You've
I
got
don't remember.
You don't remember. Well, I'm going to tell everybody. So Theodora and I came in and we're like, well, how long is this thing going to last? And Theodora, who's like really smart with like numbers and system, she said the TED Talk is like 17 minutes. And I'm like, well, 18, 8 is a really special number. 8 is infinity. So I said, let's just go on and see what happens. We finished the podcast. I never looked at the time. What did you say at the end?
17 plus. Yeah, 17:45, I think. Just below 18 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
that's called serendipities. So trusting and coming into this session. Somebody in the world might need to hear what you and I are talking about today.
Mhm.
And if not, then you and I love being together and that's good enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that serendipity. So, you know, the more you trust, the better life gets in every area of your life. So let's just end the session today with closing our eyes if you want, or you can have your eyes open and just breathe. And if anything comes up, Theodora, let me know. And if not, then we can say namaste.